Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and allowing me to continue to be your daily advocate. If you're new here or you're not subscribed for any reason, please do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. Thank you to all of you who have been watching and following me for so long. It truly means a lot, and I'm glad that I can be this person.
This article that I just shared with you, the headline here, there's an individual named Rob Price that shared that article on Twitter. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse retweeted that share, and Brad wrote the following: I continue to see asinine arguments from uninformed pundits of how crypto works. I want to reiterate what Ashish Birla said yesterday. Let me pause there. Ashish Birla is Ripple's, he's the general manager of RippleNet. He's actually one of Ripple's original employees, and he put out this thread. I already did an entire video breakdown of this, so I'm not going to read this again. It's the thread that's on your screen right now. One of the things that he highlighted is that there is not nearly enough liquidity for Russia in existence in crypto for Russia to take advantage of crypto, because the whole idea being Russia's cut out of the SWIFT system, and they're not entirely cut out, by the way, but can Russia just replace that with crypto? That's what a bunch of people like Senator Elizabeth Warren are saying, because she doesn't know what the ever-loving hell she's talking about, and many others are saying that too. Well, Ashish Birla pointed out a bunch of stuff, including crypto markets are not nearly liquid enough to even make that happen. It's not even a possibility, even just for that reason alone. And so that's what Brad Garlinghouse was referencing there. And so again, he said, I want to reiterate what Ashish Birla said yesterday. There are factual reasons why crypto can't be used on the broad scale for Russia to evade sanctions. In order to convert crypto to fiat, exchanges, etc., rely on banking partners who could lose their licenses if someone on the OFAC list is able to slip through. Extremely stringent KYC/AML policies are in place to avoid precisely this. RippleNet, for example, has always been and remains today committed to not working with sanctioned banks or countries that are restricted counterparties. Ripple and our customers support and enforce OFAC laws and KYC/AML. Instead of listening to responsible players who have been clear they will abide by legal sanctions, some pundits and media insist on continuing to paint crypto as the Silk Road, both an exceptionally outdated and tired argument which simply doesn't hold true today. Rant over. Golf clap for Mr. Garlinghouse, everybody. That's solid, and he's absolutely correct. So what's being said here? Well, I don't want to read this article. I really want to get to the most important points, but I want you to know what was covered in this article. Basically, the perspective on this thing, and this is the article I cited, which is from Vice, titled "Crypto Exchanges Refuse to Freeze All Russian Accounts." There are the CEOs cited in here of various cryptocurrency exchanges which are refusing to shut down the accounts of Russians, and like all Russian citizens, mind you. And so the way that's being painted as, oh my gosh, but the money can flow from Russia to who knows where, that's the picture that's being painted. Now, as we get into the specifics, you'll see that this is silly for a number of reasons. The truth of the matter is the argument that the exchange CEOs are making are that it's not their place to decide who should be granted and denied access to markets, basically, anything having to do with finance specifically, or in this case, obviously, crypto, because the individuals, like individual citizens in Russia, they are not all sanctioned. You'll see as I go through the specifics, but it's Putin himself and other specifics. It's not your everyday individual in Russia. There are also, by the way, there are all sorts of citizens of Russia that are very against what's happening regarding the invasion of Ukraine. Just consider that as well. But think about this. And so if you think that the people running these exchanges are wrong and they should shut down access even from the citizens, you understand what the implications of that would be, right? And that what kind of precedent that you're setting there. The next time that you're on a side of some sort of political matter and the exchanges think one way and you think the other way, should they be able to just remove you from the system? Does that sound right to you? Because that's the door that you're opening here. So rather, what the exchanges are saying is it's not their place. This is what they're saying. The exchanges are saying it's not our place to engage in politics here and determine who should or should not have access to markets just in general. And so they're abiding by the law. If governments in which they operate are saying these people or entities, whatever, they're sanctioned, they're abiding by the laws. They're not breaking any laws. And that's true not just of exchanges, but of other entities in finance working outside of crypto. And so this is an important concept that is clearly missed by much of mainstream media. They simply don't get it. And I don't know about you, I do not want exchanges getting into politics and banning people just because they're on the wrong side of this or that. I don't want that to be the case. It's not their place to do it. They shouldn't be deciding, and that's the point they're making. They shouldn't be deciding those types of things. And so now let's go to the breakdown that I was talking about here. This is from Jake Chervinsky, who is a lawyer who is well known in the world of crypto, and he shared the following with his 101,200 followers on Twitter. And I'm going to run through this whole thing. It is pure gold, and you will learn a lot from this, and I find it very persuasive. I don't know how anybody on the opposing side, like even if you're one of the people that happens to think that I'm wrong to this point based on what I've said, that's fine. We can always respectfully disagree, but hear this whole thing. I don't know how you can hear all the facts I'm about to share with you and then think, yes, these people at these exchanges should be unilaterally making decisions to take away financial freedom from individuals. I just let me go through this, hear all the facts, and then you tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong. But here's what Jake Chervinsky wrote. Russia can't and won't use crypto to evade sanctions. Concerns about crypto's use for sanctions evasion are totally unfounded. They fundamentally misunderstand how sanctions work, how crypto markets work, and how Putin is actually trying to mitigate sanctions. I'll explain. To begin, I want to express my strong and unequivocal support for the people of Ukraine fighting a totalitarian invader to defend their homes and their basic rights to liberty and self-sovereignty. Glory to Ukraine. The free world must assist Ukraine and fight back against Putin. One way for the free world to fight back is by imposing severe economic sanctions on Russia. Sanctions are a foreign policy tool used to influence the behavior and diminish the capability of foreign actors. They seek to deter and punish bad acts through economic consequences. Here's how U.S. sanctions work. First, sanctions must be authorized by the President in an executive order or by Congress in legislation. Second, the Office of Foreign Asset Control, or OFAC for short, designates specific targets for sanctions: individuals, companies, governments, etc. OFAC adds targets to the specially designated nationals and blocked persons. So that's SDN, and that's going to be repeated throughout this, so just remember that. SDN stands for Specially Designated Nationals. So again, this office, OFAC office, adds targets to this list, the SDN list, Specially Designated Nationals and Blocked Persons list, which is available at a link that he shared right there, which I didn't pull up. It's not necessary for the purposes of this video. And then he writes the following. This is important, folks. It is illegal for any U.S. person to transact with any person on the SDN list. This is the crux of sanctions, cutting SDNs off from the U.S. economy. This is crucial to understanding sanctions policy. The main goal of U.S. sanctions is to deprive SDNs of access to the U.S. economy by making it illegal for U.S. persons to transact with them. SDNs can't buy U.S. goods or services, sell products to U.S. markets, or own U.S. property, etc. So pause right there. So again, the SDNs, these are the individuals and entities that have been blocked by the U.S. OFAC. They've been blocked. And that's why I've been stating it doesn't matter if you're talking about crypto or the legacy financial system. You're in serious trouble if you don't abide by the sanctions. You're going to jail, folks. There's no leniency here. You're going to be in serious trouble here. And so for someone like Senator Elizabeth Warren to come out publicly, as she has, stating that crypto can be used to Russia's benefit, holy hell is she missing the mark. For so many reasons, and this is only the beginning. There's a lot more to flesh out. Check this out. Jake Chervinsky continues. To be most effective, U.S. sanctions laws are extremely broad. U.S. person means every U.S. individual, company, etc., all over the world. The law prohibits direct and indirect transactions, plus facilitation. Violations are strict liability offenses, zero tolerance for errors. Now this brings us to Russia. The United States and her allies have imposed severe sanctions on Russia as punishment for invading Ukraine and to deter further aggression. These sanctions aren't comprehensive. They're targeted at Putin, his oligarchs, the government, and other state entities. And by the way, if I could just pause to note, if you want to expand any of these sanctions anywhere, you know where I'd go before, just increasing it to everyone else in the damn country, is maybe, there's a lot of reasons this won't happen, and I'm not even necessarily saying that I'm good, I'm just saying if you wanted to get harsher, what you would do. Now, again, I'm not even saying that for sure that I want to do this, but because you're talking about serious war at that point. There's a lot of stuff to think through before coming to this conclusion, but what you do is you'd ban via SWIFT any international money flows having to do with Russia's greatest exports, which would be oil and natural gas, because that's basically Russia's economy. And so if you take that out, serious problems, but that would also be serious problems for neighboring countries, because that oil flows to all sorts of people over in Europe. And so you'd be talking about taking out huge, what that would do to the economies of those countries. I mean, there would be serious impact. So again, there isn't an appetite currently to make that happen. And again, I'm not supposed to say that should occur. There's so much to consider. There's probably things I haven't considered, which is why I don't have a firm stance on that. I'm just saying, if you wanted to, that would be the thing to do, if you really want to get serious about Russia. Anyway, Jake Chervinsky then continues. In addition to these sanctions, we've also frozen assets of Russian oligarchs and central bank, limited Russian banks' access to SWIFT, banned Russian flights in EU airspace. This list isn't complete, and more sanctions are being discussed every day, but you get the idea. These sanctions have been devastating for Russia so far, and will likely be even more effective over time. But some people are suggesting that crypto could give Russia a way to evade or mitigate these sanctions. Is that plausible? Not at all. I'll give you 3 reasons why. First, Russia's access to a global payment network has nothing to do with the goal of primary sanctions, cutting Russia off from the United States economy. It's illegal for US persons to transact with SDNs, period. It doesn't matter if they use dollars, gold, seashells, or Bitcoin. US persons around the world are cutting ties with Russian SDNs right now, regardless of what payment system they were using previously. There's zero reason to think crypto's existence will convince any of them to willfully violate sanctions laws, risking fines and jail time. What about SWIFT, you ask? SWIFT is a messaging service that facilitates interbank transactions. Kicking Russian banks off SWIFT will make it harder for them to conduct business, but it's not the same as banning Russia from the global financial system, as some have said. Let me pause. I've said that too. I've been saying that for days now. If Russia wants to have relationships with other entities in a country, whether it's another central bank or just regular banks or any sort of financial institutions, and on the other side they want to have that relationship with Russia, they can still have that. They can still choose to develop that relationship. They just need to have a different messaging system. I pointed this out multiple times. Jake Chervinsky continues. Rather, as with primary sanctions, the goal is to deprive Russia of services offered by the free world. SWIFT is a service. Russia doesn't get to use it anymore. That's the sanction. Some Russian banks can still do cross-border transfers. They just can't use SWIFT for that. Crypto works the same way. US crypto companies offer a variety of services. Russia doesn't get to use them anymore. That's the sanction, just as with all US goods and services. Russia's ability to use the underlying technology doesn't let them evade the sanctions in any way. So pause here again. This is kind of what I was getting at. Do you want this? Do you want in the future? Do you want the cryptocurrency exchanges to make these types of decisions on all sorts of political issues, just as a matter of policy, or do you just want them to follow the law? I just want them to follow the law. Doesn't that seem to make rational sense? If I'm missing something, you all let me know in the comment section below. That's what I mean. Anyway, Jake Chervinsky continues now. What did I last read right there? I think it was this part, right? I'm sorry if I'm rereading a part, but here it was roughly here. U.S. crypto companies offer a variety of services. Russia doesn't get to use them anymore. That's the sanction, just as with all U.S. goods and services. Russia's ability to use the underlying technology doesn't let them evade the sanction in any way. Can crypto mitigate sanctions by offering an alternative to SWIFT? Not really. If Russia wants an alternative, they're far more likely to use China's CIPS than a public network they can't control. Regardless, there's nobody in the free world to do business with them anyway. Second point of 3. Crypto markets are too small, costly, and transparent to be useful for the Russian economy. Crypto markets are thin to start with, and ruble trading pairs are rare. With Russia cut off from the world's crypto industry, they can't source nearly enough liquidity to matter. So pause. That's the topic that Ashish Burla was talking about. Said that Russia's daily needs of memory serve something like 50 billion a day typically. Well, Bitcoin is it's roughly 20 to 50 billion dollars a day. So just Russia, one country, Russia, would eat up all of Bitcoin's liquidity in a single day. There's not enough there, folks. There simply is not enough liquidity there. The crypto markets are way too small. They're too fledgling. They've been around over a decade, I know. Crypto's in its nascency. That's what I keep saying. Like, if you feel like you're late to the party, no, you're at the beginning end of things. You're at the very beginning end of things. Crypto's minuscule right now. Anyway, Jake Chervinsky continues. Russia also can't hide its tracks with crypto. Setting aside valid privacy concerns, the transparency of public ledgers, plus the analytics capabilities of U.S. forensics firms equals crypto is useless for sanctions evasion. And the Treasury Department put it best. And here's a quote from a piece that was shared here. The scale of what they have to move and where they have to move things from, crypto's not necessarily going to be that concerning, said Todd Conklin, counselor to the Deputy Treasury Secretary. Any attempt to move that much money through exchanges would contribute to a bit more of a spike in the crypto market, in my view, that has been observed lately. So there you go. If there's a huge money flow, you can connect the dots, folks. And ledgers are public. Crypto is not a good way to hide transactions, right? This would not be a good option also for Russia. Jake Chervinsky continues. Third, the reality is Putin spent years trying to sanctions-proof Russia, and crypto isn't part of his plan. His strategy included diversifying Russia's reserves into yuan and gold, not crypto, shifting trade to Asia, not onto blockchains, bringing manufacturing onshore, etc. Putin could have built crypto infrastructure if he wanted. He didn't. There's no reason to think he will or could now. And then he writes, here's a New York Times article which stoked fears about crypto and sanctions evasion last week on Putin's real strategy. Zero mentions of crypto, and I'm not going to pull it up for the sake of this video. It's not necessary for the points that we made. And then he wraps up his thread by stating, there are other reasons why crypto doesn't create sanctions evasion risk, and more to say about how crypto is being used to support Ukraine and the many innocents caught in the crossfire, but this thread is getting long, so I'll wrap it here. More to come. Golf clap for Mr. Chervinsky, everybody. Absolutely hitting the nail on the head in the most comprehensive way that I've seen to date. Absolutely knocking this thing right out of the park. And if you've been watching my videos where I've been talking about this over most of the last week, I've been saying much of the same things. And he posted this early evening just yesterday. And so I started reading it last night, and I didn't have a chance to actually finish it until this morning. And then once I finished it, I was like, oh yeah, absolutely, I'm making a video about this. Knocking this out of the freaking park. Crypto is not the bad guy. It is not going to be used by Russia for nefarious intent because there's so many reasons. Like from a technical perspective, it just can't happen. And then on top of that, to make crypto exchanges out to be the bad guys when they're following the rule of law, I think that really is disgusting and misses the mark. I'm not down with that.
So enjoy your day, everybody. I'm always here for you. Leave any comments or questions below, and be sure to subscribe. But thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you. Enjoy your day, and I always have your back. So thanks so much, everybody.